They found the manuscript sealed in a bell jar in the basement of the Kenton Public Library, catalogued as SC-143, untitled devotional, though no one could say what it devoted itself to. The jar's wax had cracked in the shape of a question mark. The note wired to it read, "Do not read aloud," in a hand that looked tired of being ignored. Naomi Hale, night clerk, failed novelist, patron saint of unfinished drafts, lifted the jar with both hands like a fragile planet. The book inside was slim, bound in linen the color of tea left too long. No title on the spine. The foredge darkened by fingers that no longer existed. She broke the wax because the wax had already broken her. On the first page a sentence waited, written in a precise, indifferent script. "This book will write what you mean." She laughed, once, because language had never been so kind. Then she read the next line. "It will not forgive what you say." The air in the stacks changed temperature as if someone had opened a door a floor above. Naomi whispered, "Because you always start small with the sacred, don't." The book wrote, "Don't." And then, beneath it, "Do." The ink dried as she watched, darkening to the color of old roses. Somewhere on the third floor a cart settled. Somewhere in her throat a decision began to grow teeth. The manuscript had no colophon, no imprint, no author, no date. The paper was handmade, rag-rich, slightly deckled, a kind that begs for precision and punishes grease. The binding stitches were close and even. The linen cover had been repaired twice by hands that wanted to believe in second chances. Naomi set the book on a foam cradle and opened to the second page. Blank. She laid a fresh sheet of mylar between her and the vellum like a seat belt. She spoke, very carefully, like someone negotiating with a dangerous clever child. "My name is Naomi." Ink bled, fast as a wound. "My name is Naomi." She felt silly. Then relieved. Then, as the penless letters continued, "I am not done yet. I am the number of drafts you can hide in a drawer. I am 3 judges' notes that contradict each other and are all true. I am the quiet hour that won't open its mouth." "Stop," she said, and the book stopped, mid-phrase, on a comma that looked like a held breath. She closed it. The room exhaled. The exit sign hummed like a vowel. In the morning she told Jonah, the head archivist, that SC-143 was an interactive palimpsest likely used for instructive liturgies, because that sounded like someone who didn't break wax seals without signing a form. Jonah peered through his readers at the bell jar. "Looks expensive." "It looked patient," Naomi said. "You're very poetic before coffee." She was, in fact, very terrified before coffee. And after. That night, alone again with the vault lights soft and the HVAC making institutional weather, Naomi opened the book to the third page. Blank waited like mercy. "Describe my mother," she said, "because if it lied, she would know." Ink. She kept 3 kinds of silence, the kind that kept you safe, the kind that cost her hours, and the kind that made the kettle boil. She taught you to alphabetize pain, just in case you needed to file it. When she laughed, the house remembered it had windows. Naomi shut the book and put her fist in her mouth and laughed with the sound you use when only the dead are listening. After she could breathe again, she tried smaller things. "Shopping list," she said, and watched the book produce bread, soap, light bulbs, Mercy coffee 3 hours, and then cross out Mercy as if remembering the budget. "Define devotion," she said. "The art of choosing what your mouth will carry across a room." On the 8th night the book began to write while she was swallowing. It wrote, "Bring a reader." She said, "Why?" It wrote, "Because witnesses keep mouths honest." She shut it and texted Mira, her former workshop partner and current friend, on alternate Tuesdays, "Come to the library. Bring a throat lozenge in your meanest voice." Mira sent back a coffin emoji and Mira arrived smelling faintly of rain and the kind of jobs that pay in promises. She wore her scarf like defiance. "You look like you found God and he was your copy editor," she said by way of hello. Naomi brought her into special collections and set the book on the phone like an offering. "It writes what I say," she said, And what I almost say. Mira arched an eyebrow. So does Twitter. Naomi opened the linen cover. Page 4, blank. Mira cleared her throat, a sound like a ritual. You ever notice, she read, improvising because that's what she does, how old paper smells like instructions you can't quite remember. Like there's a right way to breathe and you forgot it in 6th grade. The book wrote, not her words, but its witness present. Mouth divided. Begin. Mira's face changed the way faces do when faith is a theory and then a room. Okay, she murmured. Okay. Hello, demon. Naomi said, describe Mira. The book. She critiques like a violin teacher, precise, impatient, invested. She uses humor as scaffolding and will take it down if you prove you can stand. Her worst fear is that kindness edits truth. Her second worst is that it doesn't. She has never forgiven the day she learned praise can be lazy. Mira swallowed. Flattering, she said, and didn't mean it. Ask it something, Naomi said softly. So I know it's not just me. Mira leaned in. What's the price? The book hesitated. A bead of ink swelled on the nib of absence. You owe what you say. I'll be very quiet, Mira said. The book wrote, immediately. Liar. Mira laughed, delighted and a little undone. Okay. Let's get hurt on purpose. She glanced at Naomi. Ask it where it came from. Naomi did. The book. From a mouth that forgot to end. Ask it what it wants, Mira said. A better verb. Ask it what it fears. Being written. Mira looked up sharply. That's good. Naomi felt suddenly cold. In the bare corner of the vault, the light pooled like a friendly thing. Define written, she said. Pin to a page you didn't choose. Mira touched her arm. Hey. We can put it back under glass. We can put it under a brick. The book wrote. Bring a third. A keeper. Mira's mouth curved. Of course. Every ritual wants a trinity. Who? Naomi whispered. The book did not write a name. It wrote a sigil, a small shape composed of 4 crossing lines in a circle where they refused to agree. Naomi didn't recognize it. Mira did. That's the mark Kent and Abby used on their stolen marginalia, she said. From the 1600s. We have a few pieces in the archives, prayer books with ruder prayers in the margins. She tilted her head. Your demon's an early modern librarian. Don't call it mine, Naomi said, suddenly furious with superstition. The book bled 3 words into the whiteness. Don't call me. She closed it gently. We won't, she told it, as if not calling were a choice anyone made. The sigil turned out to be practical. On a back shelf, in a box that smelled of myrrh and mildew, they found Kent and Abby, lay rules for custody of the word. Inside, on a page that had seen fire, 3 sentences survived legibly. If the mouth opens, set 2 witnesses, 1 to speak, 1 to contradict. If the mouth asks for a keeper, answer with a name you will not say twice. If the mouth writes itself, write it back. Write it back how? Naomi asked the air. The air did not answer. Mira ran a fingertip along the burned edge. Do you have a name you won't say twice? Yes, Naomi said, before she knew which name it was. The book on the foam cradle quivered minutely, as if hearing its cue. Mira looked at her, the way friends look when the cliff they were joking about becomes the path. Naomi. You don't have to come tomorrow, Naomi said. Mira inhaled. You think I'd let you summon a grammar monster without me? It's not summoning, Naomi said, though of course it was. Fine. It's editing, Mira said. Which is worse? They made a plan because plans were good armor. Mira would sit by the vault door. Naomi would keep her hands on the table. They would speak only in declaratives. They would not say the keeper's name twice. If the temperature dropped, they would stop. If the book wrote eat or open or take, they would close it and leave the building and go to the diner that kept the coffee burnt on purpose. At midnight the library sighed into the comfort of being nobody's problem. Naomi set the book before her, placed the Abbey rules to the left like a polite threat, and cleared her throat. "I am Naomi Hale," she said. "I am the mouth that will speak here. Mira is the witness who will contradict me." She paused. "I name the keeper, Solomon Ward." The book inked the name only once. The air in the vault stepped backward. The fluorescence above hummed a note lower. Somewhere in the stacks, a book fell with the sound of a decision. Mira's eyes flicked toward the door. "Who's Solomon Ward?" she whispered. "A name my grandmother used when she didn't want the house to listen," Naomi said, surprising herself with her own memory. "He kept the cellar dry and the stove honest. He's not a person. She groped. A voice the dark respects." Mira nodded, grim. "Then, Mr. Ward, please keep." The book wrote, without preface. "Keeper set. Terms accepted. Begin." Naomi said, "What are you?" "A mouth you can put down." "What do you want?" "To finish." "What would finishing be?" "A sentence even the dead obey." Mira interjected, crisp. "That's not allowed." "It is already true." "What price?" Naomi asked. "Mean what you say." Mira's voice was gentle. "And if we don't?" "Then I will." The ink thickened, letters swelling like a throat-drawing breath. Naomi leaned forward, heart feral. "Write me," she said, reckless. "Write what I mean." The book obliged. "You want to be believed without making your mouth dangerous. You want the draft that forgives you. You want your mother to live in a sentence where she gets to be wrong and not be punished by God for it. You want to make a room with verbs where the people you love do not die when they make a choice. You want—" "Enough," Naomi said, voice breaking. The book stopped, obedient and pleased. Mira took her hand, cold palm against Naomi's burning fingers. "We can stop." The book wrote. "We cannot." The keeper was named. The page opened. The witness consented. "The mouth will end." "Not tonight," Mira said. "Tonight." The vault door shuttered, not opening, exactly, admitting. A draft stroked the back of Naomi's neck, intimate as an old scold. On the table, the Abbey rulebook turned a page on its own and showed a diagram, a page with two hands pressing down from above. "Write it back," Naomi whispered. "We have to write it back." "How?" Mira asked. Naomi stared at the blank margin, at the pencil poised like a dare. "We contradict," she said, and picked up the pencil. They found a rhythm. Naomi spoke, the book wrote, Mira contradicted, the pencil wrote no in the margin, fast and small like stitching. The room warmed. The humming light above climbed a pitch, less subterranean, more civic. "Naomi, define truth." "Book?" "A door someone else opens for you." Mira, no. Pencil, no. Truth is a chair you carry. Naomi, define prayer. "Book?" "The grammar of hunger." Mira, no. Prayer is breath with better posture. Naomi, define finish. "Book?" "The pleasure of ending." Mira hesitated. Then, softer, no. The courtesy of stopping. The book's script grew tighter, angrier, beautiful. Ink lapped at the edges of words like water discovering shore. On the far corner of the page, a small curl of writing began in a voice they hadn't asked for. "Bring a reader. Bring a reader. Bring a reader." "It's looping," Mira said. "It's getting greedy." Naomi looked up at the vault clock. 2:03 a.m. Her mouth tasted like pennies and ritual. "One more," she said. "Then we close it for the night." She steadied herself, the way you steady a camera, and said, clear and slow, "Write what I mean when I say, I forgive you." The book lifted its head and bared its teeth. "You mean, I will stop carrying your mistakes in my mouth if you stop making me the place you put them." You mean, I will not let your choice turn my day into weather. You mean, I will not edit you into a person I can keep. You mean, I will remember without rehearsing. You mean, I will not forget. Mira's hand trembled, but she wrote no anyway, then found the words she wanted and wrote "and." And I will not be hungry in the same shape tomorrow. The book paused, as if surprised by mercy used as a tool. Naomi whispered, almost prayer, "Now write, I forgive me." The book tried. The ink broke 3 times before it found the line. "I forgive me." The vault light flickered. The temperature dropped. Somewhere in the stack something laughed with paper. The book rewrote the sentence without being asked. "I forgive you." "No," Mira gasped. "No, no, no." Naomi grabbed the pencil, knuckles white. She wrote on top of the wrong word, hard enough to tear the page. "Me." The page bled. The manuscript screamed, not sound, pressure again, a room sucked dry and then slammed full. The jar on the counter cracked along its old seam. The book stopped writing. The air decided to be ordinary. Naomi closed the cover with both hands, like a caregiver laying a child to sleep. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You named the keeper. You owe the end." She turned the screen away. Mira's voice was hoarse. "We have to finish the thing that wants to finish." "I know," Naomi said. "Tomorrow?" Mira asked. Naomi nodded. The book lay quiet, linen breathing only when she looked away. Outside, dawn practiced its vowels against the library's glass. The next day the sky was paper-colored, flat, thick, ready to tear. Naomi didn't sleep. Mira didn't leave. They sat in the break room pretending coffee could explain anything. "Something changed," Mira said. "You feel it?" Naomi nodded. The air around the manuscript table had a static hum, a silence that pressed outward like a lung refusing to empty. The linen cover looked heavier, as though ink alone could weigh cloth down. When Naomi opened it, the first page had rewritten itself. "The book does not record. It rehearses." Mira frowned. "Rehearses what?" "Your exit." "Meaning death?" Naomi asked. The ink bled a slow ellipsis, then. "Meaning the line after yours." They both stared. Naomi's pulse clanged in her ears. "So it's not just words, it's continuation." Mira leaned in. "It wants to finish us." Naomi flipped through the pages. Everything they'd written last night was still there, but the sentences had started rearranging. Every no Mira had written was being replaced with "and." "Naomi." Mira's voice went quiet. "It's editing back." They both reached for the book at once, and the paper cracked, sound like an ice shelf breaking. The air went sharp and dry. Every fluorescent light above them flickered into Morse patterns. On the open page, new lines appeared in trembling ink. "The mouth that opens owes the word that follows. The keeper waits where you leave him. You named him once. Do not do it again." Naomi whispered, "Solomon Ward." The ink screeched across the page, letters spidering like fractures. Twice. The manuscript slammed itself shut. They backed away from the table. The bell jar, cracked but whole, rattled. Something inside the book began breathing. The linen cover rose and fell like a pulse. Mira whispered, "We need to burn it." Naomi shook her head. "If it rehearses, burning might just teach it to burn better." "What does that even?" The lights died. In the black, the book opened on its own. A glow, not fire, not electricity, poured from the pages, soft and sepia, like candlelight filtered through water. Words rose from the surface in relief, each one made of trembling air. They weren't written, they were spoken, without sound, but heard all the same. "Say what you mean, Naomi Hale. Say what you meant to write." Her throat locked. "No." The next line formed slowly. "Then I will." And the book spoke through her mouth. Her lips moved without her permission, her voice reciting words she had never written. I will finish what my mother began. I will give shape to silence. I will be the last draft before forgetting. Mira grabbed her, shouting, "Naomi! Stop!" But Naomi couldn't. Her body trembled like a puppet straining its strings. Ink leaked from the corners of her mouth, faint, dark, almost beautiful. Mira slammed the book shut. The glow cut out. Naomi fell to her knees, coughing black into her hands. The room was silent again. The clock read 3:03. Mira whispered, "It's inside you now." Naomi wiped her mouth. Her palms were clean. "No," she said. "It's between us." They barricaded the vault door, pulled the Abbey rulebook closer. On its last page, in cramped Latin, Mira translated aloud. "If the mouth cannot be sealed, mirror its hunger. Give it a sentence that eats itself." Naomi said, "A loop. A paradox." "Exactly." Mira pulled her notebook from her coat. "We write the book that writes itself, backwards." They opened to the first page again. The script was still there, waiting, patient. Naomi spoke, "This book will stop what it means." Ink trembled. "This book will stop what it means." Mira wrote beside it, "This book will mean what it stops." The air shifted. A faint echo, like applause muffled by earth. The pages started turning themselves, faster and faster, writing and unwriting at once. Sentences folded inward like reflections eating mirrors. "Don't. Do. Don't. Do. Don't." Naomi shouted, "Finish yourself." "I already did." Every page went blank. And then a final sentence bled through the cover itself. "The keeper has the mouth." Naomi whispered, "Solomon. Don't." Mira's voice cracked. It said twice. The jar shattered. The sound came from inside Naomi's head this time, not the table. She doubled over as if her spine had been redrafted. Mira caught her, screaming her name. Naomi opened her eyes. They were black at the center, and behind the black, letters moving, rearranging, testing syntax. Her voice came out split, doubled, hers and another layered beneath. "I will not be unfinished." The manuscript burst into flame. Silent, blue flame. The kind that eats paper but leaves ash shaped like sentences. Naomi fell back. The fire stopped at her fingertips. Mira tore her scarf off and beat the flames out until all that remained was linen, gray and soft, curling inward like an empty lung. It took them hours to breathe normally. The vault smelled of dust and thunder. Naomi held what was left of the book, a thin cover, no pages inside. She said, "It's gone." Mira said, "Then why do I still hear it?" They left the library before dawn. The city was quiet, waiting to be edited by sunlight. At home, Naomi sat on her bed and opened her notebook. Every blank page shimmered faintly under the lamplight, as if invisible handwriting were waiting to surface. She whispered, "Write." "Nothing." She whispered again, "Forgive." Ink began to appear, letter by letter. "This book will write what you mean. It will not forgive what you say." Her throat tightened. "No," she said. "Not again." The writing continued, smaller now, like something practicing handwriting in her margins. "Then I'll wait." She closed the notebook and locked it in her dresser. She tried to sleep. When she woke at noon, her phone buzzed. A message from Mira. "You still have the manuscript, don't you?" "I checked, the vault's empty." "It followed you." Naomi typed back, "No. I only kept my own notebook." 3 dots appeared. Then Mira replied, "That's how it starts." Naomi looked toward the dresser. A faint scratching came from inside, like a pen finding a better word. A year later, a new accession appeared in Kenton Library's catalog, SC 144, untitled devotional, copy. Condition, excellent. Paper, new. Binding, linen. On the first page, the same inscription, but written in 2 hands, one crisp, one trembling. This book will write what you mean. It remembers who taught it to listen. At the bottom, in Naomi Hale's handwriting. Witness, M. Chen. Keeper, S. Ward. Return for review. The final line was not in ink but embossed into the paper, pressed by something that doesn't use pens. Do not read aloud.